Shalom Yashrala, this is your brother Dawud Dow from GMS Tampa Bay 07, coming at you with another video. First and foremost, I want to say all praises to Yahweh, Bahashim Yahweh Shah, which is the true names of the Heavenly Father and His Son, who the world even calls God, and Jesus Christ. Okay, and I want to give double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone that rule well. And salutations to you brothers that's pushing this truth and sincerity, trying to endure into the end. And with that, we're going to jump into this here lesson, And this lesson, this is only like 3 scripts, but this is just something to think about, And, we've all heard these scriptures a lot, but, as well as we're hearing, you also got to apply this stuff, and not necessarily a lot of things you have to apply, but then there's also things that you have to, understand is real, I know for one thing that I get people in the world and stuff like that, people ask me a lot, like, how is it that you work all the time, but then you always be broke? You know what I'm saying? Or you should have a whole lot more than what you really have. I'm like, shit, man. Like, these curses and stuff apply to me as well. The things that's written in this book apply to me. Like how the scriptures say, you work a lot, and you put money into a bag as if it has holes in it. You can't never quite get enough. One week, it always happened like this. You know what I'm saying? Like literally. When you got a little bit of overtime or some extra money in your paycheck, damn, now my auntie needs some money, you know what I'm saying? Then now you know what I'm saying, you trying to figure out if somebody can send you some money, you know what I'm saying? Then she go give you your money back, now you back at broke, Then you come up again, now I need tires on the car, it's always something, But at the same time, it's a blessing, so you don't, get, you could get a whole lot of money and be like, yo, let me go get this and let me go get that and be entertained with all of that, but nevertheless, these scriptures, it's something that you should, when you see these things happen, and you read about these things, you just gotta literally like visualize these things and put these things into play and be like, okay, the scriptures say this, but then, we're gonna try to apply this. But nevertheless, let me get into the scripture so I can make this make a little more sense. We're gonna start out in Daniel chapter 12, verse 1. And at that same time shall Michael stand up, the great prince which standeth for the children of thy people, and there shall be a time of trouble. Okay, now this is the point where I want to get it. There should be a time of trouble such as never was since there was a nation, even into that same time. Okay, so there's going to be, it says there shall be a time of trouble. Okay, there's going to be a time of trouble such as there was never since since there was a nation, even unto the same time. And at that same time, thy people shall be delivered, everyone that should be found written in the book. Okay. Now, the point there I wanted to make was there was going to be a time of trouble such as there never was before. Basically saying this is going to be, the worst trouble that there's going to be ever. Okay, we're going to jump over into the precept to that. It's in Mark chapter 13, and I'm gonna start at verse 19. Okay, hold on, let me jump up a little more. Okay, it says I'm gonna start in St. Mark chapter 13. I'm gonna start at 11. I'm gonna jump down to 19 after that. It says Mark 13 and 11. But when they shall lead you out and deliver you up, take no thought beforehand what ye shall speak, neither do ye premeditate whatsoever shall be given unto you in that hour, but neither do you premeditate. Basically saying don't pre-plan your speech or whatever was gonna happen. Oh shit, the police finna come hit me up. I gotta go to court. All right, I'm planning on saying nah. The Most High gonna put the words in your mouth, but that's not necessarily what we're trying to get at. It says but whatsoever shall be given to you in that hour, that speak, for it is not of ye that speak, but the Holy Ghost. Now the brother shall betray the brother to death, the father the son. The children shall rise up against their parents, and shall cause them to be put to death. Okay? And ye shall be hated of all men for my name's sake, but he that shall endure unto the end shall be saved. Okay? Now we read these scriptures a lot, and the main thing we normally get out of it is he that endured to the end shall be saved. And, but at the same time, it also said, it says, about the brother shall betray the brother to death, and the father the son, the child shall rise up against their parents, and cause them to be put to death. All right. Now we're gonna pair that with verse 19, and also you're gonna be hated for my name's sake. Now we're gonna pair this to verse 19. For in those days shall be, for in those days shall be affliction such as was not from the beginning of creation, which Yahweh created unto this time, neither shall be. Okay. So again, we keep reading about how shit's getting worse and worse and worse. It's the worst time ever. You know what I'm saying? We're talking about, you know, you those low level Christians are like, there was fathers killing sons and sons killing fathers at all points. Yeah, but what we talking about, the key here is such as there was never upon the face of the earth, So, verse 20, and except that Yahweh has shortened those days, no flesh should be saved, but for the elect's sake, whom he hath chosen, he hath shortened those days. All right, I'm gonna grab one more precept, and then we're gonna just kind of get into this, what's going on around us, This is Revelation chapter 9, verse 6. And in those days shall men seek death, and shall not find it, and shall desire to die, and death shall flee from them. Okay? That's basically just to give you a scenario of what those times are going to be like. People are going to be running around, people are going to be wanting to be put to death, and they're not going to find death, The Most High going to just basically have you locked up in here to get your torture, But just basically getting onto the whole lesson about, it's going to be a time like never before, And then everything that we look at is always going to be a time like never before, Something real heavy, that, I wound up speaking to some of the other brothers about was every day that we hear, every day is worse than the day before. It's worse than any other time beforehand. This day right now, today, is a worse day than World War One. The day, any of the days in World War One, any of the days in World War Two, worse than September 11th. Today is worse than us going into transatlantic slave trade, Worse than any of those days. It's kind of hard to believe that because, you would think, in the World Trade Center, 9/11, a lot of people, so-called 3,000 people died, World War One, I think it was like somewhere around, I'm not quite sure the numbers on that war, but World War Two, I think it was somewhere around 50 million people died, You would think, man, 50 million people died. That's horrible, I mean, 50 million people didn't die today. Yeah, but you got to understand this. The world wasn't in that much darkness as it is today. Today, every day, every minute, this minute right now is worse than the minute beforehand, because there's more and more and more wickedness going out, Let's say, let's think about it on any level. September 11th, right? On September 11th, think about how much GMO food was out, Think about all the food you used to eat back in those days where you might have been eating GMO food, you might have been eating fake food, but it didn't quite taste like it. Nowadays, you can't go nowhere without eating fake food and tasting it. Like, man, this shit is just getting horrible. Everywhere I go now, I used to eat at this spot all the time, and now they got fake food too. You go into the grocery store now, it's fake food in all the grocery stores. Even the expensive shit is all fucked up, Back in those days, September 11th, you didn't have a such thing as women wanting to walk around being thoughts. They had other terms, but it wasn't as bad as today. It's September 11th, around those times and before those times, you could still see some whorish women walking around like whores, and you would see men and women both like, nah, she needs to go put some clothes on. Nowadays, they're like, nah, you need to let her be her. Don't sit there and try to, how do you say, hold women back. Let them be free, Back in those days, you didn't have all these goddamn demonic forces going around and these damn demons and all these people, Seem like now everywhere you turn, these people, these vessels, these people, there's a slew of demons in all of them, Can't go nowhere without that, Back then, at least people wore a mask, more or less, to say. They walked around with a so-called con mask on. Hey, how you doing? Such and so forth. Nowadays, everybody just fucking is wicked as all outdoors, Every single day is getting worse and worse and worse. And in everything you do, Just think back to however long you came into this truth. There was a point in time when you came into this truth, let's say for instance, you came into this truth 10 years ago, and you were in this truth and you were heavily putting out, work here and there, no problem sitting down reading, no problem sitting down doing videos, no problem doing edification, Nowadays, not because, you basically falling off or nothing like that. Not because of that, because you got people who fall out and stuff like that, and you see them progressively decline. But I'm talking about, the men of the Lord. It's getting harder and harder and harder every single day to do all kind of things. And I honestly believe that, time is getting shortened. Because I'm like looking around like, damn, next thing I know, you know what I'm saying? Like, I know when I got off of work, when I normally get off of work, I got a long time I get a lot of stuff done, between the time I get off of work and, like, let's say 7 a.m. in the morning. Nowadays, it's like, fuck, man. Like, it's already, like, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock. I'm super tired. Like, what's going on? Like, now I don't have enough time. Like, I'm trying to find time in other places now. You know? Things are getting worse and worse and worse. It's harder to do a lot of things, It might not be hard. Like, let's say, for an example, it's harder to do videos. Not saying, like, you falling off or nothing like that, because you can't get topics or nothing, because the whole Bible is just it's a hat full of names. You just pull one out. There's a topic for you right there. But nevertheless, your timing and stuff like that. You could be for an analogy, right? A lot of you brothers are making videos on your phone, right? Like I'm doing right now. It's easy on a fresh phone with a fresh memory card to sit there and just turn it on and hit record and make a video. But once you get full on memory, it's kind of harder and harder to navigate your phone and stuff. You try to open up apps and stuff like this, and things are moving slower because you got less and less memory. And this is pretty much what it's like. It's not that the phone ain't quite working. It's just not being able to move as fast as it can because it's got so much stuff going on. The same with here, It used to be easy, to just sit there and to watch like the news and look, watch the prophecies going ahead. Now it's like, damn, every time I turn on the news, they got some bogus shit on there. I gotta actually dig deeper and deeper and deeper to find the actual news, stuff like that. But every day that goes by is getting worse and worse and worse, and it's getting harder and harder and harder. It's harder to stay focused, stay in the spirit. But and this, I look at it as for my own self. I look at it as a good thing. It's a bad feeling, but then it's a good thing at the same time, because if you're not sitting there struggling, trying to, man, damn, it's hard for me to sit there. When you start realizing, man, damn, I didn't read yesterday, I didn't do this and do that, man, I gotta get on it. When you start pushing yourself like that, and you starting to realize these things, and you being honest with yourself, it's like, man, it's getting harder and harder for me to start reading. You know what I'm saying? That should be a good thing. Like, all right, let me go ahead and up the ante. You know what I'm saying? Okay, so let me move some stuff around here and there to be able to get more time in to read. Because it's not gonna just be that easy. Beforehand, you just like, man, I got all the time in the world to go and do this and go do that. But again, every day is getting worse and worse and worse on all kind of levels. We're not just talking about, you could think about it as yourself in this truth, trying to, endure to the end. That enduring, it's gonna, like the scripture says, it's gonna be a time like never before in this time on the face of the earth. So until we get to that exact day, every day leading up to it is worse than the day before. So it's gonna be worse for you to stay in the spirit. It's gonna be worse for you to put out videos. It's gonna be worse for you to stay. How do you say? Stay filled with the spirit, more or less, to say, like with your reading and stuff. It's gonna be harder to keep up with the reading, harder to keep up with the videos, harder to do a lot of these things. But on that note, you know what I'm saying, it's like lifting weights. The harder it is to lift the weights, you know what I'm saying, the more and more muscle mass you're building. If you're still sitting there doing the same little reps over and over and over and it's super easy, then something ain't working out for you. You might want to go back to the drawing board. And at the same time, I see some other people who so-called claim to be in the truth and know the truth, and to them, no, everything good, everything easy, everything good. I'm like, well, you going out to the highways and the byways, who you edifying? I'm just worried about me and my family. Oh, okay. So you're not trying to bid nobody else to the marriage, And so you can look at certain things and just tell, more or less the conditions of things going on, And it was funny that the brethren, they sent a video out about something that happened on the internet. There was this chick. She was some bugged out chick, man. This guy was at a gas station pumping gas, and some chick, she started climbing in the guy's car. She's like all bugged out on drugs and shit, right? And this guy, more or less, I don't know what position he was in. I don't know if he's a 2/3 or if the Lord's gonna sell him or whatever. But more or less, he was a Jake, And he seemed like a regular Jake in the regular world, talking about his car, his music, his rims. So this chick trying to get in the car, and he seemed like the type of dude, like, oh shit, chick kind of decent too, Oh shit, let me just go ahead and take advantage of the chick. And he wound up saying this, but the chick was all fucked up. And even him had to snap up out of his folly and his bullshit for a minute and correct this bitch, you know? It's getting that bad to where more or less either 2/3 or the 1/3 that hadn't quite woke up yet is like, all right, fuck the bullshit. Y'all gotta quit with this bullshit. Like, I'm tired of this shit, you know? When you see everybody getting tired of all kind of shit, like, wait a minute. Beforehand, you had just the men of the Lord calling out all this wickedness. Now you got motherfuckers who ain't necessarily into the truth like this and knowing the certain information. You know what I'm saying? They out here calling out this wickedness. Like, shit kind of bad. When everybody talking about, it's like one person calling you a crackhead. That's just one person talking shit. Everybody calling you a crackhead, now things getting kind of out of hand. You know, it's like people spreading rumors and everybody talking about it now. It ain't just this one person. You know, every day that go by, again, it's getting worse and worse and worse. So you gotta be in this thing, like, you know, man, you gotta make it call an election short. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's easy to say all of this stuff, you know? It's real easy to be like, man, you brothers need to get your shit together and do this and do that. But more or less, this video is for my own self, you know? Because I understand and I see what's going on, you know? I understand how hard it's getting in and things like that. So, and the reason I'm putting this video out is because the fact that these days, like the scripture say, these days are getting worse and worse and worse. So don't think of it as something strange. Like, damn, you know, like I know a lot of the brothers speaking about that doubt demon. Like, you know, don't get too caught up with that type of shit. But just know that these things are, like I said, there's certain things that you don't necessarily have to apply, but you just have to believe in. You have to believe, if you believe in these scriptures, you believe that every day that goes by is getting worse and worse and worse on all kind of levels. The food is getting worse. Every day that go by, you getting less and less real food. Every day that go by, the air quality is getting worse and worse. Every day that go by, the water quality getting worse and worse. Every day these fucking heathen and these 2/3 is waxing worse and worse and worse. They fucking, the demons inside them is just festering worse and worse and worse. The wars and stuff that's going on, that's another topic. I was just watching or listening on to the news talking about the shit with Saudi Arabia and who was not Yemen, I want to say Lebanon, but yeah, and also them with Yemen, but and then the deal with Benjamin Netanyahu and shit like that. They about to damn near take this nigga to court and all kind of crazy shit. And I'm like, what? Wait a minute. They supposed to be in cahoots with each other. Now they coming against each other. You know, Saudi Arabia, wait a minute. Saudi Arabia collapsing on itself. Like, they shaking themselves up and we might not have an ally over there with them no more. You know? I mean, the scriptures speak about all of this stuff, but we actually see this is waxing worse and worse. Again, the political relationships with these nations every day waxing worse and worse and worse. You know, the thing with Syria. We all seen that, yeah, we tired of seeing the Syria deal. But it's actually getting worse and worse and worse. You know, they moving around over into Iran now, talking about Iran is a terrorist sponsored state. Basically saying they arming terrorists, you know. And they having proxy wars and they're like the biggest threat in the whole Middle East now. So now they shifting focus from Syria and all of that, and they're like, yeah, they trying to take up, you know, the fall of ISIS and this and that, you know. Where we know once we go into Iran, that's just basically gonna be it, you know. So, like I said, every day we inch closer and closer and closer into this. There's a couple things you need to keep in mind. Get your house in order, you know. It's easier said than done, and you know. But this is one thing you got to be diligent and working in. You can't be comfortable and complacent. If you think that, if you're comfortable right now and think everything good and the Lord dealing with you and everything good and easy, I don't know. I really don't know, because like I said, the scriptures say every day gonna get worse and worse. You could be you know, really cemented in this truth, but you know, there's, like the scriptures say, you know, every day gonna get worse and worse and worse, you know. So, you know, whether, not saying that it might be harder for you to remember precepts or something like that, but you could be like Lot, vexed with the filthy conversation of the people, you know. I know, let's say 5 years ago, I wasn't really vexed at the shit that was going, like the people, the shit that they was talking about. You know, there were certain things that I was getting vexed at seeing, like, damn, what's up with this homosexual shit y'all got pushing? You know, certain things like that. But nowadays it's to the point of like, fuck, you can't even look at these bitches no more because you don't know what the fuck they was beforehand. You know, it's just abomination after abomination on all sides, you know. And if, like the scripture say, for the elect's sake, you know, time gonna be shortened, because just think about it. Just think about where you at. Think about the shit going on, and if this shit's not vexing to you to the point to where you just be like, man, I done had enough of this shit, you know, then I don't know if you really see what's going on. I don't know if you really understand where you at or if what's going on, you know. But at the same time, there's flip scriptures to all of this. The Lord is chastising his sons, you know what I'm saying? And he's refining us and purging us of all our so-called wickedness. But then again, at the same time, with all this shit building up, piling up, piling up, piling up, it's drawing your hatred towards all this wickedness even more and more and more and more. I remember for as long as I've been living, they had homosexuals, around. I'm pretty sure they had homosexuals around since all of us was born, right? But man, it ain't until till now to where it's like a huge problem where they pushing it on the little kids, they're pushing it on TV, any and everywhere you go. It's getting worse and worse and worse. But better believe next week, next month, this and that, they're gonna be pushing more and more laws. And if you don't really know what that homosexual shit is all about, the end stage for all of that is pedophilia. They're gonna just be that's what the whole transgender deal is going with these little kids. If a kid thinks they gender this way and that way, they got the consent to tell you that they can get a sex change. Why can't they have the consent to tell you who they want to have sex with? This is the ideology of Esau. Esau done did this in all his civilizations. And if you look at Rome and all of that, and when Greece started having its little downfall and stuff like that, the thing that preceded it was homosexuality. And I believe over there in Greece they got that island Lesbos. That's where you get the term lesbian from, if you brothers didn't know. But nevertheless, this video going on a little too long. But more or less to say, every day getting worse and worse and worse and worse. You know what I'm saying? It's getting harder and harder to deal with these motherfuckers, to stand around with this wickedness on all kind of things. You know what I'm saying? It's like I'm seeing the world around me just start regressing. Like at work. Like I said, in any and every situation is getting worse. I'm like, yo, I'm at work. Y'all motherfuckers getting dumber by the day. Like, I done been here X amount of years. Y'all done been here X amount of years on top of that. It seemed like y'all getting dumber and dumber and dumber every day that goes by. I'm like, what the fuck? Y'all done forgot how to do this? You only been doing this shit for 10 years. Every day the same shit. Motherfucker go to work every day for the last 10 years. You drive yourself to work every day for 10 years. How the fuck on the 11th year you start getting lost going to work? The job didn't change. Locations, you didn't change where you lived at. You take the same route. How the fuck you start getting lost? You starting to regress. And as we see around the world, everything is getting like this. I mean, I could talk about any and every situation, whether it be the currency. We see this new what they call the new digital petro yuan. We hadn't seen that before. The microchip, man, they got the fucking microchip everywhere. And another thing, in my job today, they came up, made us sign some paperwork. This is what kind of got me into this, but they made us sign some paperwork letting us know that they're gonna start keeping your medical records for the next 30. Well, they're gonna keep your medical records for a minimum of 30 years from the time you depart from the company. 30 years, they're gonna keep your medical records. Now, I'm not quite 30 years old yet. I'll be about 30 at the end of the year. But yeah, I'll be about 30 at the end of the year, and I don't know nobody nobody that kept a record on me that long, like a single solid record about me that long. I don't even have nothing on my own. I don't even have, certain pictures and shit like that of my own self. Like, I got maybe 1 or 2 baby pictures from when I was a little baby. You know what I'm saying? I don't even really have that many pictures when I was a little kid. Those are my own personal records of myself growing up. I don't even have that shit. And these motherfuckers want health records for the next 30 years, But while we supposed to be reading, and with all that reading, get understanding, I already know that this is the information they're getting you set up for this microchip in the market of beast system. They putting all this stuff inside their so-called cloud, getting on that 5G technology. We're gonna end it there because I'm about to get into a whole nother video, and that's a good lesson for another video. That 5G technology, you brothers need to look into that 5G technology, the Internet 2.0 or the Internet of Things, Morgellons disease, the chemtrails. And, we all know about the mark of the beast, and biometric screening. Look all these things up and then, connect the dots. It's all one system, one huge system they putting all together, And don't get thrown off by Morgellons disease thinking somebody going to get sick. It's Esau hiding his shit inside of other things. He got his double speak. But nevertheless, we're going to end this video here because we're going to just be dragging on all day. Lord willing, I hope that video was edifying. And remember, look, every day getting worse and worse as we go along. So, it's time to really put down all that folly and stuff and just deal with the problem at hand, We got an elephant in the room and the walls is closing in on this elephant. And it's you and the elephant in the walls. You're going to get smushed. Now, You know, you had a fucking football field, like you wasn't really worried about it. Now the walls closing in on you. Now it's time to stand up and say something, you know? For you brothers that's out there on the other side of the video screen, you know, making that decision, you know what I'm saying? Trying to think about whether you want to come in or not, like now's the time, you know? Now is the time to get this thing up on and rolling, because once the Most High, you know, take those fishermen and turn them into hunters, it ain't gonna be no time to be we ain't gonna be fishing no more, you know? And you be like, nah, I wanna get caught. Nah, it is too late to jump on that bandwagon, you know? And as we see is how things is getting worse and worse and worse day in, day out, man. We know that, Lord willing, like this shit pop off like before the end of this calendar year, more or less to say, you know, cause fuck, man, like the scripture say, unless those days be shortened, no flesh will be saved, you know? That shit with Fukushima. Again, I can go on all day. The shit with Fukushima and the tsunami over in Japan. You know, all that radiation, radioactive water spilled over into the goddamn ocean. You know, we don't get no new water on this planet. It's a water cycle, so that fucked up ass water rained the fuck back down on the plants, the vegetables, the animals. Then that shit then got sold into food, and people then ate it all up and digested it, put it all back in. You know what I'm saying? You got that shit everywhere. They got this microchip system. Like, yo, if we get that system going, and hypothetically, if none of this was to be there, like, where would we be? You know, years down the road. The homosexuality being pushed down the road. You can't even have kids no more without your kid coming up being a goddamn transvestite. You know what I'm saying? You can't even be healthy no more. You can't even eat real food no more because of this shit's all fucked up. But you can't even have a healthy relationship because all these goddamn women want to be independent women, independent feminist women. They want to be men. You know, they getting all this testosterone put into them. You know, you can't even really have no, besides the brother and you know, in the brotherhood, you can't really have no, not that you should want none because they all in the world, but manly friends, male friends, because they all effeminate and docile, you know. Try to talk to some of your male friends in the world, tell them about the oppression and shit going on, and they always be like, bro, you need to chill, bro, you always on that rah shit. Like, there's a big ass problem. Only a real man gonna stand up to fix the problem. So, you know, like I said, I'm just gonna go on and on and on. So we're gonna end this video here. Lord willing, it was edifying, you know. And with that, I want to say all praise to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shah, double honor to the apostles and elders of great millstone that rule well, and salutations to you brothers that's pushing this truth and sincerity on the four corners of the earth. Shalom.